term nationalism is being really misconstrued, primarily by people on the left who oppose Donald Trump. There are some on the right as well, but the term nationalism is being referenced in a derogatory way. And I think a big reason for this is because those people who oppose Donald Trump and his agenda try to draw a parallel between Trump and Hitler. And we all know that Hitler was the leader of the Nationalist Socialist Party. So by essentially what they're doing is they're comparing Trump to Hitler, and they're using the slogan of nationalism to try to convince others and convince the general public that Trump is a racist, strictly because he has people like Steve Bannon who believe in nationalism. But that is faulty logic, because when it comes down to it, nationalism is patriotism. Now, not all nationalists are good, just like not all socialists are good. Not all capitalists are good. I mean, there are a lot of different examples that you can do about that. But when you try to profile a complete group of people strictly by your beliefs on one person that may have that similar belief, that's where it becomes a problem like this. Nowadays, if you actually look at the juxtaposition between the right and the left, you will see that nationalism, primarily on the right, is about patriotism, about celebrating the flag, about standing up for national anthems. But on the left, it's opposite. Burning your flag is patriotic because you are symbolizing that you disagree with who is in government. Or kneeling during a national anthem is symbolizing that you disagree, that you believe the foundation that America was founded on is no longer the same, that the ethos of American culture have changed. And there could be some arguments either way like that, but I don't think if that is the case, then I don't think that they should just strictly stipulate that if you believe in nationalism, you are automatically a racist. Because when it comes down to it, Donald Trump isn't a conservative. Donald Trump ran as a populist party. He used the Republican name because third-party candidates really don't have a chance ever to win. So it made sense that he would use the name or the party to run under. Hell, that's what Ron Paul essentially did. That's what Rand Paul essentially does. If you use that, you can actually get in more. But what doesn't help, though, is that since there are neocons in Congress, since there are establishment Republicans who really don't give a shit about anything except their own positions, they are unwilling to work with Donald Trump. So now what that does is that gives the illusion that Trump basically doesn't have any kind of confluence with Congress at all. That Trump's agenda is so far out there that even those on the right who want to work with him can't because this is too much to bear. And that would not be good in the midterms. If we actually look at it, Congress has yet to incorporate or to implement any type of legislation. They are working on the new Obamacare bill right now, but why aren't they doing tax reform first? The Obamacare bill is going to be dragged out for a long time. Taxes are still going to increase, and we need taxes down because we need to repatriate that money. We need to really go back to, I guess you could say, the 80s under Reagan. Now, Reagan was no hero either, but under Reagan, you had one of the most massive amount of job growths. You actually had 1/4 of GDP up to 8%. To actually compare that with Obama, he has never reached 3% a quarter. So, 5% more Reagan compared to Obama. And we can also go back to JFK. And JFK, he was a liberal in the classical sense. That's kind of what I am. I'm the old-fashioned liberal. I believe in individual freedom. But JFK also knew that you had to lower taxes, because when you lower taxes, more employers can expand with research and development. And that is a concept that the left has trouble understanding. And I understand why, because they believe in redistribution of wealth. Not to such a degree that becomes socialism, but to enough a degree that they can increase entitlements. Like look at food stamps under Obama. They went up like 10 million, I believe. So they believe in that, and there is some argument to that. But to be honest, if we actually want to be in a prosperous state, if we want to be in a prosperous time, we have to end the welfare state. And people hate that because when you look at welfare, when you look at healthcare, it's an emotional argument. You're emotional about it because no one wants to be sick. No one wants to feel like they're being disowned from the government, that they're going to be on the street and dying. But to be honest, if we don't actually stop our national debt, if we don't stop the increase of the deficit, then it doesn't matter how many entitlements you give out, because those same people are still going to be living in a hellhole. The more the debt raises, the more the deficit raises. Every single day, money devalues because of inflation, because the Federal Reserve prints fiat money. It doesn't have a gold standard. It's not backed by anything. It's not backed by anything tangible that can actually be used to trade in any kind of commodity. And I know the Federal Reserve wants to make arguments like they are essential in their position, because if they are not in their position, that means that the economy will collapse. But that's not the case. A little known fact: when the Federal Reserve raises interest rates by 0.25%, that costs the taxpayers an extra $50 billion a year. That's nuts. I know you've heard me say in the past that the Federal Reserve costs taxpayers alone $500 billion a year. We have a $600 billion deficit currently. Imagine if we got rid of the Federal Reserve, got rid of fiat money, we went back to the gold standard or some type of tangible material, some type of tangible commodity that could be traded in if need be. That would go a long ways in helping the welfare of the people. But people like to spend. The Democrats, Trump, even many of the GOP are spending too. Rand Paul, I have a video of him where he discusses the new $9.7 trillion debt or budget that the Republicans want to add. And he said the best: the more things change, the more they stay the same. Republicans have the House. They have the Senate. They have a president who I don't believe is Republican, but yet he ran as a Republican Party, so there should be some type of confluence between them. And yet, they don't have any legislation to pass. The midterms are up in about a year and a half. And if they think that they can just not do anything yet maintain their political position, their seat, they're sadly mistaken. Trump cannot do everything by executive orders. He's going to need help from Congress. And the more they sit on their ass, the more they don't do anything, the more they're going to ruin Trump's chances of re-election of 4 years, as well as their own re-elections. And if they lose either the House or the Senate, then we will be stagnation in terms of legislation. You will not see any type of change, and it's not going to happen, and it's kind of sad. But the welfare state, if we would get rid of that, if we got rid of the Federal Reserve, and we could even just reduce our national debt down to $10 trillion, it's possible. For those who say it's impossible to bring down your debt, no, you're wrong. It is possible. But cutting taxes or raising taxes isn't the issue. The issue is spending. And that's why I don't agree with. I don't agree how we need to add more to our budget to increase money for offensive weaponry. We already spend more on the military than the next 21 countries combined. We don't need to spend more. I'm all for cutting programs. I'm all for cutting Department of Commerce. I'm all for cutting Department of Education, even cutting the EPA in some sense. I mean, we don't need these type of huge bureaucratic departments that cost the taxpayers lots of money but really have no positive outlook. The states could take care of all that. I know you heard me say before about federalism. Federalism is essential. We need federalism. We should go back to federalism. And part of the federalism, if you want to argue about welfare, then you could say there'll be no federal appropriations for welfare. If the states want to do it, they can. They can do it either through block grants or they could do it through their own kind of tax income, any type of revenue-based budget like that. But we could do so much good in this country if we went back to the founding principles that this country was founded on: federalism, individual liberty, individualism. America was founded on the right to free enterprise. That is, you build your own future. And the problem with a lot of progressives, not regressives, progressives today and modern liberals is that progressives think they deserve stuff, whereas liberals, they tend to do now too, the same, modern liberals. But they have to understand that they believe they deserve stuff from the government. Well, the government doesn't have anything. So to give you something, they have to take it from somebody else. So in essence, you are mandating the labor of another person. And that is the fundamental flaw in that argument. I understand wealth distribution. I understand that they want everything to be fair. I know Obama even said 2008 a few times that he would increase the capital gains tax despite it decreasing revenue, specifically because it's fair. Well, life isn't fair, and America wasn't founded on a socialist ideology. It was founded on free enterprise and the free market, capitalism. And we have to go back to capitalism if we really want to see a change in the direction this country is going. Not just the economy, but overall, the military. There is also a misconception that people think that if you don't believe in interventionism, that you are an isolationist. That's not true at all. We are in 120 different countries. We have troops in 120 different countries. We don't need to have troops in 120 different countries. We can bring them back. We can reallocate some of the military spending on other areas. Cyber defense, cut back. Spending is a big issue. And especially with the Federal Reserve raising interest rates soon, especially with the Federal Reserve having complete control over the dispersion of fiat money into our economy, if we don't really cut spending soon, we are going to see a devolution of the American economy that is similar to 2009, 2008. So, but I guess I digressed there. I kind of went on a tangent, a little bit of a rant, but back to what the video started at, nationalism. Well, I got way off topic. Not every nationalist is a racist. So that argument that mostly the left media, the liberal media, I hate saying that word liberal because they're not really liberals, but anyways, the liberal media is using nationalism as a derogatory statement to try to justify their denigration of Trump and his policies, as well as his cabinet members. Especially when you think of Steve Bannon, he is intelligent. So, again, just because Trump has Steve Bannon in his cabinet doesn't mean that that should encompass all of Trump's colleagues as your perceived notion that Bannon is racist. If that's the case, then we would know Obama was indeed a communist because his pastor was a communist and he grew up with socialist tendencies. So just bear that in mind when you want to profile a group of people based on the actions of someone else. So, like I said, I digressed in the video quite a bit, but I think the point got across. And I'm done.